It is almost time for the 2024 NHL Draft. So for the final time leading into it, today we're going to discuss all the rumors we're hearing about things that could happen at the draft. So we're talking about what prospects may be selected by which team, trades we could see at the draft involving players, draft picks, and a whole lot more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're going to be, for the final time, at least leading into this draft for the 2024, we're going to be kind of recapping all the latest speculation and rumors about things we're hearing regarding the draft. So all the draft trade rumors. So we're also going to talk about some of the rumors around draft selections, what players in the top end of the draft may go to which teams, and of course all the other speculative moves that we could see. We did already see one trade involving draft picks in the first round that were swapped just not too long ago with the Buffalo Sabres and the San Jose Sharks making a deal. The Buffalo Sabres have traded pick number 11, so they've moved back in the draft. So they trade pick 11 to the Sharks in exchange for pick number 14 and a second rounder. So they move back 3 spots and they get an extra pick in the second round here for their efforts. Based on the value, you could say, that's going to be given to each pick, you could say that that was a bit of a slight overpay by the San Jose Sharks. But, you know, at the end of the day, it works out. They get to bump up. Obviously, there's a player there that the San Jose Sharks are targeting. You could look at it one of two ways. Either the San Jose Sharks are targeting another forward because we know they're going to take Celebrini at 1. That's no surprise or shock to anybody. Some people think that they're going to be targeting a player like Cole Yzerman, who could turn out to be the top pure sniper in the draft. And, you know, he's not as much of a well-rounded player as some of the other guys that are in either forward or defense, but he does have a wicket shot, wicket release, and the ability to score seems to be there. But there are some other concerns, which is causing him to not be like a top 5 pick, for example. However, there are some people that think that the Sharks really like Cole Yzerman, and of course, you got to remember Mike Greer, well connected to the college scene and BU and all that. So, obviously going to be a player that they would easily keep an eye on, somebody who could pair well with Celebrini or Will Smith as they come to the NHL. So Yzerman might be an option, but at the same time, another possibility here, another strategy is that they want to make sure after getting Celebrini, who's going to be a franchise center, that in that range, in that top, you're probably looking at, in that probably 6 to 10, 11 range, there's going to be some really good defensemen available there. And they'd like to make sure that if they can leave that draft in that first round and get Celebrini and one of those top D, I think they'd be thrilled with that too. So it's going to depend on who's on the board. I think they'd be at this point okay with either scenario, but either way, they're getting themselves another really, stronger prospect, and they'll get a little bit lower in the draft. So the Sharks are being aggressive in that sense. As far as what we're hearing at the other top end of the draft, we know Celebrini is going to be one, but who's going to be next? Since the event that took place in Florida that was put on by Dan Milstein and Gold Star, obviously he represents a lot of the Russian players, and they had a little event there for guys who couldn't be at the draft combine, and a lot of teams and scouts got to see Ivan Demidov up close in person for the first time. Demidov is probably one of the most interesting players here because he's very skilled. Most people are going by what they've seen on tape, not in person, because of where he played over in Russia. And a lot of people think he could be the number 2 pick in the draft, but a lot of people think he's not going to be, and that there's some other players there. He's just a very wide range of opinions. At the end of the day, a lot of people think he's going to be really good, and I'm sure he probably will based on what I've seen too. But the rumor is right now that the Chicago Blackhawks at number 2, we know Kyle Davidson, the GM, commented in his availability, the pre-draft media availability, that they've already decided who they want. There's no guesswork anymore. And the belief is that it is Artem Levshunov, that they're going to go with the big right shot defenseman. A lot of people think he will be a star stud top pair guy, and he's a right shot, which is harder to find these days. So that seems to be the general consensus. Now, I would not be completely shocked if Chicago throws the whole draft board for a loop and takes Demidov. That would create Levshunov available, in that 3-4 spot, right? But at the end of the day, would he be an amazing line mate possibly for Connor Bedard? Like, you have to think about that. But the general belief amongst all the so-called prospect gurus and experts out there is that Lev Shunov is their guy. So with that in mind, a lot of people think that Demidov is going to fall as low as 5 and be there for Montreal. Now, we know Montreal had an opportunity last year to take Matvei Michkov, and they passed. And now that a big part of that, I think, was because of the fact that he was likely going to be staying in Russia for about 3 years. And when they commented on everything after the draft, it did seem to be more about the Russian factor in that, long-term wait was playing a big role as much as not necessarily his skill level. So at the same time, I do think that Montreal, after seeing him come to an arrangement to get out of the KHL contract, and he's signing with Philly this probably in the next week here, and he will be a Flyer next year, I think that really opened up their eyes and said, listen, okay, we can't let this happen again. Demidov at the Florida event with the Dan Milstein and Gold Star that they put on, he came over, he was very impressive. He was taller than a lot of people thought. Most places had him listed at 5'10". He was actually over 6 feet, just shy of 6'1", like 6 feet and half to 3/4 inches, so just a little shy of 6'1". He could still grow some more too because he's not at an age where he's done. So to hit 6'1" is not unreasonable. It's only like not even a full inch. So he was a little heavier, a little more muscular than they thought. He spoke better English than they thought. And he made it clear that he wants to come over within like a year. So his draft stock just kind of went right back up. A lot of teams were like, okay, all those concerns are now gone. And now you're seeing what's going on with Michkov and like, okay, we can't let this factor in our decision. But these prospect people who seem to have connections, like I've listened to a lot of them, and all the the insiders on the draft picks that know more about this stuff, seem to think that the Ducks, who are picking 3, are not going to pick them, and Columbus at 4 is going to take either Demidov or Lindstrom, Caden Lindstrom, the big centerman from the Western Hockey League. But the belief is that they have Lindstrom ranked higher because he's a center, and they really want to build their center depth and have like Cade Lindstrom and Adam Fantilli down the middle here for the next foreseeable future. So the Ducks, I think that a lot of people think they're going to go with the big defenseman Anton Silyev. So that leaves them there for Montreal, and that's what a lot of people think is going to happen. Now, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if a team like Chicago or even Anaheim throws everybody for a loop and takes them. They would be smart to if they make that choice. But the belief is he's going to fall to Montreal. So we'll see. After that, it kind of becomes a little bit wide open, and you go to Utah, Ottawa, and so on. And like Calgary's at 9, and there's probably going to see a run on defenseman there. So, I suspect between Utah and Ottawa, one of them is probably going to take Tisha Ginla. I know the Senators reportedly really like Ginla. They are quite content to take a defenseman because I think positionally it would help their overall depth in their organization, and that's the area they probably need it the most. But when you're picking at number 7 or anything that high, you need to take best player available, and there is a belief that they think that Tisha Ginla is going to have more impact and be the best player available than some of the defensemen that are there. So if he's there and they have a choice at, say, a Ginla, Bouillon, Perek, Dickinson, they probably go with Ginla and they probably take the forward because, like I said, they probably also looking at their depth. As much as they could use another D strong, they could also use another top 6 forward. So to me, these are players that other teams definitely want. We know the Philadelphia Flyers, when it comes to Demidov, they are pushing hard to get up in that draft ranking and get picking higher. Now, they may not pull it off because it's not going to be cheap, but they supposedly have been talking to the Columbus Blue Jackets about the number 4 overall pick. They're trying to leapfrog teams to get at Demidov. They know, I think it's fair to say, with everything that's going around the rumor mill, that if Montreal will take him if he's there. So they want to get ahead of Montreal. So they've been negotiating with Columbus to get the 4th overall pick. And to be honest, Don Waddell and the Jackets appear willing to entertain it at least. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But they're pushing. I don't know what the offer is. It's definitely going to take their first round pick. So pick number 12, probably looking at probably another second rounder, or there's going to have to be at least a couple of picks in there. plus I would think a roster player, something good that the Flyers are going to like, or the Jackets, are going to like, that they would want to do business with the Flyers. So I don't know. It's hard to say if they're going to work that out, but the Flyers are pushing hard to get Demidov, so they have the Russian duo, Demidov and Michkov, on the wings, and they're really, it's going to be expensive, but they're trying to do what they can. So don't be shocked if there's a lot of rumblings around that and if something comes together. But it won't be easy. The Winnipeg Jets, look for them to move Rutger McGroarty, the former first-round pick from 2022. They said he's had a change of heart. Doesn't seem like he wants to sign in Winnipeg. I've heard rumors about 3 or 4 different teams having pretty serious interest. Again, Columbus, Islanders, Blackhawks. Tonight I've heard more about Boston maybe being one of those teams too. And there's others. I've heard about the Devils. I wouldn't even rule out the Sharks either, to be honest. Like, they just packaged some picks to move up to number 11. Would they consider moving pick 11 for McGroarty? It's crossed my mind. I don't know that they would. San Jose could also say to Winnipeg, we know you probably want to buy out Nate Schmidt. How about you let us take that contract off your hands, and we'll try to get Rutger McGroarty at a discount. If I'm Mike Greer, I'm trying that. I don't, look, he could really, if you look at a forward or a player that they could get at 11, are they going to be better than McGroarty, who's already 2 years advanced, that you know what he is? You don't know everything he is going to be at the NHL level, but he's far enough along in his development that I think, you like what you've seen enough that you might be willing to do that. Hard to say. But either way, the Jets are definitely trying to move him. It's expected to get done before the first round of the draft is done. There was even some talk about, where I mentioned Columbus being interested, about maybe seeing about a reunion with Patrick Laine back to Winnipeg. And that could be somehow worked into this McGroarty deal too. So we'll see. Laine back to Winnipeg would be really interesting. Of course, we know that the Montreal Canadiens are still pushing to find a trade for a top young player. They've been very open and vocal about it. They've done it 2 years in a row, trying to make it 3. They've been linked to players like Trevor Zegras, Marty Necas, and others. So again, look for them to make a push here and for Kent Hughes to try to pull off something significant. New Jersey, very open to moving pick number 10. Now, they've already pulled off a deal to get their goalie in Jacob Markstrom, but they did not have to give up that pick. They've been linked to Marty Necas as well as Montreal and a few other players that we've talked about here. So again, I wouldn't be completely shocked if New Jersey moves that pick for a player that's an impact player right away. Wouldn't completely rule out Nikolai Ehlers at a Winnipeg. I wouldn't rule out Marty Necas. There's a few of them that I think would make a lot of sense, and there could be others too. But New Jersey, we know that they were open to moving it. They got their goalie, and now they've got other ammunition to use. So look out for the Devils. Ottawa's had picks. Pick number 7 getting a lot of attention. There was apparently a trade that was somewhat agreed to if their circumstances worked out with Philly. I think now, from what we've heard, it sounds like that Sens Flyers deal that was rumored there for like 3 or 4 days was involved around Jonas Korpisalo, and we knew that the Senators were pushing hard with the Bruins to get Ullmark, which they accomplished. I had made a video back 3 or 4 days ago, a couple days ago now, saying that all the rumors about Ottawa and Ullmark, and then there was all these rumors about Ottawa and Philly, and I think it's all connected. I think it very well could turn out to be one big trade that involves all 3 teams, or at the very least, one of those trades is contingent on the other. And I was right. The rumor is that the Flyers were linked to the Senators, that they were trying to get a swap and pick, so they were going to get Ottawa to swap picks 7 and 12. So the Flyers are at 12, Ottawa's at 7. They want to swap picks, and the price tag was when we'll take Jonas Korpisalo off your hands for that. That was going to be, that's the rumored deal. Now, I think there could have been other pieces because there was believed to be a Sens defenseman that they wanted, and then maybe another piece from Philly. I don't know exactly, but those, I think the picks and Korpisalo were the main pieces. Now, I don't know if the Flyers were going to keep Korpisalo, they were going to buy him out, or what they were going to do. But it was like plan B, so to speak, if the Bruins would not take Korpisalo, which originally they wouldn't do. So we'll see. We do know that the Sens are still contemplating seriously a Jacob Chychrun trade. They're not, by the sounds of things, they're not absolutely settled on doing it. But if they get a deal that they feel improves the team, and from a contract and cap perspective that would be more manageable than what he's going to get on his next deal, then they will do that. But right now, I think it's more likely than not that they pick at 7, but they are not completely opposed to moving it if a wonderful deal comes along. Calgary's another team to watch. Like I said, they're going to want Iginla. I don't know that they're going to be able to get him at 9. I think he's going to go well before that. If he's there at 7, Ottawa's going to take him. Wouldn't shock me if Utah takes him at 6. So I wouldn't be so completely shocked here if Calgary tries to move up. I wonder if a trade involving Calgary and Ottawa around that number 7 pick could involve a defenseman too. Like we saw the Flames move Andrew Mangiapane today. They're clearly in full-fledged rebuild mode. We know the Sens, if they do move Chychrun with like a right shot D, I wonder if those two teams do talk, if they would talk about Rasmus Andersson. I think he could be a terrific addition to the Sens blue line. I'm not sure 100% that the Flames will move him, but they don't have a lot of veterans left. And the guys that are left are probably scratching their heads saying, geez, do I want to stay here? Now, I don't know that Calgary would want Chychrun. That could be a separate move. But again, like we said, the Sens could move Chychrun for futures if they can get another defenseman in another trade that would kind of replace him. So again, I wonder if Ottawa will get a call from Calgary for that moving up in the draft as well, and if that would be a piece that would be involved. I don't know. That's just my own 2 cents there. The Islanders are another team to watch. They've been linked to Rutger McGroarty. They've been linked to Nikolai Ehlers. We know Lou might pull off a trade. I wouldn't be shocked if he trades pick number 20. Again, I think they need to make a pick because they're low on prospects, but they also need to win now. So they're kind of in a unique spot where having both is really challenging to do. So I don't know, but I expect something out of Lou. Hopefully he wakes up from his long winter's nap and makes a move here. The Los Angeles Kings are expected to move Arthur Kaliev. Again, another player that's been linked to the Senators. There is connection there from Kaliev to ownership and Steo, so that explains that. LA was a team that before that was very interested in Chychrun. I wonder if their first round pick and Arthur Kaliev for Chychrun might be something they would offer. And then maybe from there, like I said, they make a deal for Rasmus Andersson. That's just a gut feeling on my part. There's been no rumors actually from connected people suggesting that. The Minnesota Wild still have guys like Philip Gustafsson and Marco Rossi. I don't know that they're pushing a trade. I think in Gustafsson's case, it's something they're more open to. Rossi is very much open to it as well, but I don't know that they're actively out there pushing it. So again, if draft picks or young prospects could very well be involved, those are more players we could see moved. And then we got word tonight as well that the new Stanley Cup champion, the Florida Panthers, are shopping former first overall pick and member of their team for 10 years, Aaron Ekblad. Now, he's down to 1 year in his contract, just a little bit shy of $8 million. Right shot defenseman. He's had some good injuries over the years, so he's got some wear and tear on his body. He wants to stay. He does have some trade protection, but not a full no move. The thing with Ekblad, apparently he's even willing, because he's got 1 year left on his contract. He's also just changed agencies as well. He's now repped by Craig Oster, who is the uncle for Matthew and Brady Tkachuk. That's their mother's brother. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but Oster's now repping Ekblad. But the word is that for him to stay, that he would even take a discount on his next contract to make it more cap friendly, so to speak. But the Panthers are in a very tough bind with all kinds of expiring deals, trying to determine who stays and who goes. They got to sign Sam Reinhart. I think Brandon Montour, for the most part, is probably gone. But if they do move Ekblad, then they'll have a better shot to keep Montour. And if they like Montour over Ekblad, then maybe that's the rationale there. But again, if they can't move Ekblad or it doesn't materialize, I think they're going to have a tough time keeping Montour. He's going to probably make $7 million on the open market, and I don't know if they can really do that there. Like I said, they have a rumored extension in place for Verhaeghe. They still have Bobrovsky's $10 million for a couple more years. Tkachuk and Barkov are making big money. Reinhardt's probably going to be at least 9, if not 10. So there's some tough decisions there for the champs to make, and Ekblad is out there. But again, not a give any moves. But Bill Zito's aggressive. We know they're not afraid to be ruthless and make hard choices. And right now, the alternate captain, former first overall pick, and member of your team for a decade, the guy who's been there the longest, is on the block. So we'll see what happens. There's definitely going to be interest. He's a right shot defenseman who's not afraid to play physical. He's got a good amount of experience. Now a Stanley Cup champion. They could move him in a heartbeat. So we'll see what happens there in Florida. So let me know your thoughts on what you think is going to happen at the draft. There's probably lots more teams and players, picks, etc. that could go as well. It's going to be a very busy day. The draft goes, of course, Friday night will be round 1. Saturdays, rounds 2 through 7. There could be lots of activities, so stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date here with all the trades, all the analysis for the entire draft, all the rumors in the free agency and beyond. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.